Flight disruptions loom as Kenyan Airways pilots say they plan to go ahead with the strike from Saturday, despite a court order suspending their industrial action. This comes after the Kenya Pilots Association said it has failed to reach an agreement in talks with management on better working conditions. They're demanding the company restart contributions to a provident fund and back pay salaries owed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thousands of flights are expected to be cancelled, and the airline has urged passengers planning to travel in the next 48 hours to contact customer care. It's described the planned strike as unlawful, ill-timed and unnecessary, saying it will result in further financial hardship for the troubled company. Kenyan Airways flies over 4 million passengers to 42 destinations annually. Kenya has reinstated members of its scandal-hit National Football Federation a year after the body was disbanded over corruption allegations. But the country's new sports minister, Ababu Namwamba, warned its former chief, Nick Mwenda, who's facing corruption charges, that he could not return to work until legal proceedings against him are completed. The Football Kenya Federation was disbanded last November after an investigation into its finances revealed it had failed to account for the funds it had received. Mwenda was arrested in the same month for alleged financial impropriety during his tenure, after the government set up a caretaker committee to run football. The case was dismissed due to lack of evidence, but he was rearrested in July this year on fresh charges. Following his ouster and the disbanding of the federation, Kenya was suspended by football's world governing body FIFA over government interference in the running of the sport. It's not immediately clear if FIFA will allow Kenya to return to matches, but the federation said on Friday it had informed the world body of its full and unconditional control over the sport. Kenya cannot host or play in any international matches until FIFA lifts its ban.
Kenya's worst drought in 4 decades is wreaking havoc on wildlife. The crisis has affected nearly half of the East African nation's 8 provinces, leaving humans and beasts very few food sources. The Tourism and Wildlife Minister gave details on the high mortality rate of wildlife Friday.
The drought has resulted in the deaths of the following species of wildlife. Wildebeest, we've lost a total of 512 animals. Common zebra, we've lost a total of 381. Our elephants, we've lost a total of 205.
The Amboseli and Laikipia Samburu regions, which are home to touristy safaris, recorded more than 70 elephant deaths. Some species like the gravy zebras, which are considered endangered species, were also badly affected.
The drought has caused mortality of wildlife, mostly herbivorous species. The mortalities have risen because of the depletion of food resources and as well as water shortages.
4 consecutive rainy seasons have failed in the Horn of Africa. The Kenyan Tourism and Wildlife Minister said authorities were dropping off hay for the animals. It warned in a report unveiled Friday that the wildlife death toll was likely far from comprehensive, as carnivores could have devoured carcasses.
He's Africa's second longest ruler. When Cameroon's Paul Biya came to power in November 1982, Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States. The Soviet Union was nowhere near breaking up, and it was the year that Michael Jackson's album Thriller hit the charts. The 89-year-old, who will mark his 40 years of iron-fisted rule on Sunday, is also believed to be one of the world's oldest rulers. The Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, founded by Biya in 1985, says it will be holding a big party across the country to mark the anniversary. At its headquarters in Yaoundé, party members are selling caps, scarves, shirts and multicolored garments emblazoned with Biya's face ahead of Sunday's main event, a regional mega rally to be held in the capital. But there's no word as to whether Biya, whose public outings have become increasingly rare, will be attending. His absence from the public eye has stoked speculation about his health. But any talk about who might succeed the president, who turns 90 in February, is strictly taboo in government circles. In private, however, conversations abound, with commentators saying none of the potential candidates enjoys unanimity. Last-minute preparations in the seaside resort of Sharm el-Sheikh as Egypt prepares to welcome delegates to this year's United Nations Climate Conference, or COP27. Some 30,000 people representing governments, businesses, NGOs and civil society groups are registered to attend the meeting, which gets underway on Sunday. It takes place against the backdrop of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has resulted in global inflation and an energy and food crisis. Many countries have had to scale back on their climate goals in the short term, and it's believed COP27 will likely see a setback in the pledges and commitments previously made by some countries. The hope of these talks is to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures by the end of the century in order to prevent a climate catastrophe. Focus this time round is likely to be on increased global efforts on adaptation, climate financing and increased financial support to help developing countries cope not just with future impacts, but those already claiming lives and devastating economies. The conference runs from Sunday through to the 18th of November.